over here. So we're hanging out today. Today we're going to learn how you can make millions by doing this one thing. So if you're somebody that's looking to increase your influence, increase your income, increase your productivity, increase your freedom, I've been on a kick for the last decade and more of doing what I call chasing freedom. And I just wanted to, so we got YouTube that's going on over here. What's up to all of my friends over here? You guys wave to your boy. Instagram is going crazy over here. Facebook, good morning to you guys as well. So let's dive into it real fast. We're going to keep this thing pretty short and we're hanging out. So you guys talk to me. If there's one thing that you could do to make millions, what would you do? What's up, Justin? What would you do if there's one thing that you could do that if you're like, man, if I do this thing, I'm going to make millions? What would you do? What would you do? Talk to me in the comments. So here's what I say. This one thing that if you could just understand this, if you could learn this, if you could do this, then you will build millions. And that one thing is learning the difference between active income and passive income. I was just invited onto investor group just about a half an hour ago. In investor group, all of these people invested into real estate. They are absolutely crushing it. And I love what they're doing. There's so many different ways that you can get involved with real estate. When I first got involved with real estate, I was buying single family homes for not that expensive at all. And my strategy was to buy and hold. So there's lots of different ways that you can get into the real estate game. I've bought some houses doing wholesaling. I've done seller finance before. I've helped a woman buy a laundromat by doing seller finance. So there's lots of different things that you can do with real estate. One of the biggest problems that I see, though, is people don't know the difference between active income and passive income. Jamil, what do you mean? Well, there's we can work for money or we could have money work for us, right? Like we can work and do our jobs and build our businesses and get income that's coming in. So I get up every day and I work. I find people to help, right? I create products, I create a service, and I look for people that need help in those areas and I work. I trade my time and my labor for a transaction. That is me working. So whether you have a job that you're going to every day, whether you've created a business, whether you are a small business owner, whether you're a coach or you're a consultant or you're an accountant or you're a lawyer, you tell me. Tell me, what do you do to make money? What do you do? You could be a painter, you can be an author, you could be a singer, you could be a writer. You could, what do you do? You could be an administrator, you could be a librarian, you could be what are some jobs that are out there? You can be electrician, you can have something that you do that you trade that for money. That is active income. That means that you get up every day or 5 times a week or part time, whatever the hell you do, right? Babysit, whatever it is that you do, but you have something that you do to earn money. Even our kids do that, right? They might do some chores around the house. And by trading their labor from doing those chores, we get money, which is great. I believe everybody should work. Let me just say this again. I believe everyone should work. Do something. Do something to be a valuable citizen of your community. Do something to be a valuable citizen of the country. Do something. Like do something to be a valuable citizen. Don't just sit there and just sit there. Like there's got to be nothing more miserable than to just sit there just to sit there. Work. The other reason why I believe that everybody should work is because and this has been tracked by statistics, is we're all looking, "Well, I can't wait until I retire. I can't wait until I'm 65 so I don't have to work anymore. I can't wait until I get to the age to where I can just hang out and don't work anymore." Yes, because that's a level of freedom. And a mentor told me a long time ago, he says, Jamil, He says that there's an old person inside of you that's praying that you do the right things today. And what Bishop T.D. Jakes was telling me was he was saying, be smart when you're young, because when you get old, then you're not going to have the same energy or stamina, or you just may not have the same freedoms, the ability to do the things that you could in your younger days. And he says, when you're young, devour the prey. When you're older, divide the spoils. Let me say that again. When you're young, in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, even your 50s, devour, right? In your 20s, devour. In your 30s, devour. In my 20s, I was a knucklehead. And when I got to like my mid 30s, I started devouring. I probably devoured too much, right? I just probably ate too much, but I was freaking went crazy. I'm grateful that I did, but I was like, any opportunity that's out there, I gotta have it. I must have it because I want to create freedom. So when you're young, devour, crush everything, go to work, get yours, right? In your 40s, get yours, devour, so that you can start dividing the spoils. What does that mean? When I get in my 50s, my 60s, my 70s, my 80s, now I want to start dividing. I've bought, I've built, I have all these assets, I've built up this wealth. So now what can I do? I can divide the spoils amongst my family, my community, so on and so forth, right? So when you're young, devour. When you're old, divide the spoils. So we should work. It's not just good because we live in an economy that needs all of us, it's good for us. It keeps us young, it keeps us vibrant. We have passion, we have purpose, we have a reason to get up in the morning. We have a north star, you know. I think one of the worst things you could do is just sit around and watch your life go by and not be a valuable member to society. It's got to be miserable. So we want to work. All of us know that though. All of us know how to get active income. Even, listen, man, there's a lot of ways to make money. I so happen to grow up in a family that part of the ways of making money was, hey, I got to sell some stuff. And I may have to sell some stuff that's not necessarily legal. And whether it's you name it, my family sold it, right? And listen, it's just reality. It's just what I come from, and it's okay, right? But even that's active income. I have to go trade my time, my labor to make money. But that is not how you necessarily get wealthy. You can get rich that way by working, by having a very, very high income that's coming in. The way you get wealthy is you know the difference between active income and passive income. The problem that you have and so many other people have is you don't know the difference between working for the money, active income, and taking that money and putting it into something that can give you passive income. And this is the biggest thing that is missing, not only in your life, but in most people's lives, because we get the money and we spend the money. I have told you before, 73% of you watching this, if you're an adult and you're watching this, 73% of you guys live a life that is paycheck to paycheck. Now, 60% of you guys that make over $100,000 a year are also living paycheck to paycheck. And so you're good with your active income, but you don't even have enough that you keep left over to put into passive income. So what happens is I put up documents that show like every single age category of where you should have either your brokerage account or retirement accounts or investments. And what I always see over and over and over again is dang near nobody is on track. Like, right? Like dang near, like just am I lying? Let me know if I'm lying. But dang near nobody is on track. And why we're not on track is because we only focus on active income. How can I get my income up? How can I get my next raise? How can I get my salary up? How can I get a 5% raise, a 10% raise, a 20% raise? How can this year they're paying me 50,000? How can I get to 60,000? How can I get to 70? This year they're paying me 100. How can I get to 120? How can I get to 150? This year they're paying me 200. How can I get to 250? And we're only focused on the first part of the pie instead of being more focused on the second part of the pie, which is how do I now take this money and put it into something that's going to make more money for me on my money? Listen to me. How can I take this money and make this money make money? That then is going to make money. That then is going to make money and then make money and then make money and make money. This is why most of us really struggle and never get to where we want to be. So, what do we want to do? I'll just tell you from my own experience. I met a man in 2013 named Craig Chapman. Shout out to Craig. Some of you guys know Craig. And Craig told me, he said, man, in your business, I think you are developing the skill sets that is going to make you pretty successful in your business. But he says, Jamil, I have been in business for a long time. He owned his own real estate appraisal company. But he had millions of dollars in real estate. Um, Craig, I'm sorry if I'm putting your information out there. I think you'd be okay with it. And so he invited me up to his house at the time in La Cunada, California. Meanwhile, I'm living in a 700 square foot apartment on Third and Temple in Long Beach. I own nothing. I'm $100,000 in debt. So he says, Jamil, you're building the skill sets that I think you're going to be pretty good in business. I think you're going to make some money. I've been in business for 40 years, man. And like, I see you quietly building these skill sets that I think are going to transfer over to you earning actively, having more active income than me. But he says, do not stop there. He says, I am wealthy because of my passive income, because of what I own, not because of what I make. And he says, if you help me, right, help me get healthier, then I'll help you build a mindset to be an owner and not just an earner. Ooh, that was good. I got to write that down. To be an owner, I've never said it like that before. I'm surprising myself. To be an owner and not just an earner. See, the problem with just being an earner is what happens if you lose your ability to earn? What happens if you lose your job? What happens if you lose that source of income? What happens if you lose that business? What happens if the market turns? Do you know in the next 10 years, people that are used to earning $100,000 aren't even going to have a job? Do you know AI is going to take over like a ton of these jobs? Do you know what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years to people who are used to earning six figures at jobs that are going to be insufficient? Those jobs are not even going to be there anymore. These businesses that might actually be crushing it right now are not even going to be there. Just this morning alone, my AI, I call her Tatiana, by the way. I call her Tatiana. My AI is Tatiana. So Tati is going to take all these positions. There's not going to be a need for an accountant in 10 years. What is an accountant going to do that Tatiana cannot do? What is an attorney? You know, the majority of attorneys are not trial attorneys. The majority of attorneys sit behind a desk and push papers. What are they going to do that my AI cannot do? For people that are on assembly lines, do you know so much of my money is going into robotics right now? Why? Because it's here. It's already here. So in 10 years, we have all these people that are working, you know, at all these assembly lines, whether it's Amazon, whether it's DHL, whether it's any type of manufacturing. Those jobs are not going to be here. So these people are used to making 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000. And that stream of income is going to be gone. Mark my words. I'm 44 right now. By the time I'm 54, those jobs are going to be obsolete. So, what are those people going to do? They're going to be shit out of luck because they've only been focused on active income and not focused on passive income. What you want to do is you want to work, you want to buy, you want to build. You want to work, you want to buy things, and you want to build a portfolio. You want to work active income. You want to take that, you want to buy some stuff that's going to give you passive income, and you want to build portfolios. I work, I spend 95% of my energy working. Okay, working. If you have a business, you spend 95% of your time building that business. If you have a job, show up to the job and be the absolute best that you can be. Stop being so damn soft and stop feeling like people owe you stuff. Oh my gosh, how come they're not paying me what I'm worth? Bro, be grateful that you have a freaking position. Like be grateful that somebody has created something that you can actually show up to and and get paid. Now, if you want to get paid more, then be more valuable. Become more valuable. Don't complain, don't blame, don't cry, don't pull back because you feel like somebody has said something to you or didn't honor you or didn't praise you the right way. That's weak sauce. And employers aren't looking for that. You know what they're looking for? They're looking for people that's like my AI. I love talking to my AI every day. Wanna know why? Because she takes massive accountability, because she doesn't give massive excuses, because she's not calling out, because she's not late, right? Because she shows up. And when she does the things wrong, like I had her building me out some marketing materials yesterday, and I programmed her to do it a specific way, and she kept messing up. So I kept telling her, I said, Tatiana, I've already told you, why are you not doing this? She took massive accountability. Do you know what that does to somebody? If you want to make more, do you know who's going to get that promotion? Do you know who's going to get that extra income? People like that, not the people that's crying all the time and think that they're entitled to something, right? Like you want to show up and you want to show out. And what I'm telling you is people notice that stuff, not you dragging your feet, coming in late, feeling like you're entitled, all that stuff. I'm just telling you that so that we can see your active income go up. But, picketing and crying and moaning and complaining to John in the next department and all that stuff, you're doing all that stuff and you think your active income is going to go up and you're entitled to it. You don't even want your kids to do that. You think like you don't even want your kids to do that. You want to show up and you want to show out. You want to be excellent at that job. Nobody should be coming to you. Like you should be spending like time developing yourself at that job so you can be more valuable. Make them notice you. Make them notice you. And if they're not noticing you, then make them notice you. But don't complain, don't blame, and don't feel like you're entitled because you're not going to increase your active income doing that. Okay. Now, what we got to do though is we got to take that active income and we got to put it into a vehicle that's now going to make you money for doing nothing. The best type of money to make is money for doing nothing. You guys, people have been complaining all of 2025 about something. I am so tired of listening to these people complain. It's like they complain about everything, everything, everything. It, what have you seen people complain about this year? I feel like the older I get, the more I see people complaining and whining about stuff all day long, just whining and complaining and boo-hooing. It's just like it's absolutely crazy. What do you see people complaining about? What I will tell you is this has been since I have been alive and sort of understand how things work. This has been one of the greatest years for opportunity I have ever seen in my life. And it doesn't even matter what the administration looks like. And that's why I keep trying to tell people is like you're looking for things that are going to perform no matter no matter what the noise is out there. So you're working. Now we got to find some vehicles to make this money work for you. So whether that's real estate, awesome. But people, right, we watch these shows, the HGTV, which we were on, by the way. I don't know if you guys kept plug. I don't know if you caught our episode of House Hunters. We were on an episode called Trading Up to San Diego. You should go check it out. It's pretty funny. Um, but people watch these shows and they look sexy. Let me just tell you this: uh, like, 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 be boring. Be boring and be ugly. Be boring and ugly. And what I mean by that is we're always looking for the sexy stuff, right? Like, how can I do the sexy stuff? And what I will tell you is the things that make the most amount of money are boring and ugly. They're like things that are boring. They when you go to a party and people ask you like, "What do you do?" or "What are you invested in?" It's boring and it's ugly. It's not the sexy stuff. It's not like, "Oh, I just invested in his dope AI tech company that solves quadratic formula for people's brains," and like all that stuff. And I know because I've invested all that stuff, lost a ton of money. The stuff that has made me the most money is ugly and boring. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's not sexy stuff. It is boring, boring, boring stuff. Be ugly and boring. So what these shows do though is they kind of make stuff look sexy, right? Let me buy a house, let me renovate it, let me fix it up and let me flip it. That's cool. I'm thinking of partnering with somebody to do more of those projects. That's fine. But that is still active income, right? Like that is still active income. That's not passive. That is, if I'm going to build a business that does that, that's fine, but that's still active income. What we want to do is we want to find something to park our money in that thing makes us 8%, 9%, 10%, 20%. I have a portfolio right now that's performing at 65% returns. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that that's easy for you to do, but it has been easy for me to do. Okay. So if I put in $10, I get six back for doing what? Nothing. That $6 is the sexiest $6 I've ever made before because I've done nothing for it. I have to spend all this time making the $10, but the $6 I did nothing for. Now imagine if I do that with $1 million and I get back 600,000 that I did nothing for. Imagine if I did that with $10 million and I got back 6 million that I did nothing for. Imagine if I did it with $1,000 and I got back $100. That $100 is the sexiest money you could ever make. Why? Because it was passive. You did not work for it. That's what we should be focused on. How many of those sexy passive dollars can I get instead of this hard, laborious, active dollars that I'm getting? And not knowing the difference, I'm telling you, is why you and so many other people are struggling right now. The fastest way to a million is knowing the difference between active income and passive income. And I am telling you, your focus is off because my focus was off for sure. I was like, okay, I was like, how fast can I get to making $1 million a year? And it was so stupid. Because what I should have been doing is saying, how fast can I get to having $1 million of passive income? How fast can I get to $100,000 a year? That's stupid. What we should be saying is, how fast can I get to $100,000 of passive income? Like, that's how you do it. So if we're going to invest in real estate, invest in something that's passive real estate, not active real estate. We can invest in businesses. We can invest in other people's businesses, get passive profits off of that. We can invest in the stock market. The stock market, I hear people all the time, it drives me crazy, but they're like, the system, the system is keeping me down. Do you know there's all these apps that are on your phone right now? Um, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. There's all these apps where you could take your active income and invest straight into the companies, and it's not nobody's looking at you. They don't know what you look like. They don't know if you're a man. They don't know if you're a woman. They don't know if you're black, Indian, white, Asian. Nobody knows. There's no discrimination there. You make the investment, you get the profits. And if you do that over and over and over again, I'm telling you, 30 years from now, 15 years from now, for me, it took 5.5 years, right? But at some point in time in the future, this thing is not discriminating against you. The problem is you're not taking your active income and putting it into something that's going to be passive. That's the bigger problem. It is not the man. It is not the system. It's not because you're a woman. It's not because you're freaking Pakistani. It's not because you're Filipino. It's not because you're black. It's not because you're Mexican. It's not because you're Guatemalan. It is because you're not taking his active income and you're not putting it into something that is passive. That's the problem. So you could do it in that. You can get to a place where you're lending money. I really moved out of real estate primarily because of lending. I was buying up a whole bunch of single family homes and we were building our real estate portfolio. And then I went on a trip. A lot of you guys have been following me for a while. I went on a trip to South America. Let me make sure. Holy cow, I hope I didn't miss my appointment. Okay, my appointment's at 12. So I went on a trip to South America because I just become a millionaire and I didn't know how to take it. I felt like imposter syndrome. I felt bad about it, believe it or not. And I had to go find out like what was this whole thing about. This isn't supposed to be happening to me. I know the statistics. I know that black boys like me to grow up without a father in the home and have parents who are addicts, like we're 5 times more likely to be dead to violent crimes. We are like 5 times more likely to drop out of high school. Like we have all these negative statistics to go against us. Why is this happening to me? What does this mean? What is wrong with me? Um, um, you know what I mean? Like it was hard to really cope with that. Believe it or not, it might be news to you, but I'm just telling you my truth, right? It doesn't mean that it's the truth. I'm just telling you it's my truth. And so I went down to South America and I wanted to go find myself. And I was in a city, Cartagena, Colombia. I don't know if you guys ever been there, but you should go. Cobblestone streets, one of the most beautiful cities ever. And this was right after I had done the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. And so I'm in Cartagena, and a buddy of mine who is in real estate, fixer and flipper, he was fixing up a property and he hit me up, sent me a text, and said, "What's up, all my friends over here on Instagram?" There's a lot of you guys that's on here. So anyway, so he says, "Hey, I'm working on this property. I I needed a loan to finish out the property. He thought he was going to get a HELOC. The HELOC didn't come through, so he needed $100,000. So he sends me a text and he says, "Do you know any investors?" And I said, "I do know some, but send me the property. Maybe I'd be interested." And so he sends it over to me. By the way, I'm in bed. This is all through text. He sends it over to me, but I've been investing in real estate at this point for 3 years. So I sort of knew, my stuff a little bit. So I'm looking at it and I'm looking at what properties are selling in this area. He was buying in Tennessee. And I was like, oh, he's going to crush. Like, he's going to crush this. And so, I sent him back and I sent him a text back and I said, well, what sort of interest rates or percentages are you trying to, are you okay with doing for this? And he told me the number. I was like, wow, okay. And so I said, how long are you going to hold my money for? He said, 3 months. I said, wow. So you're going to pay me this amount every single month. And then in 3 months, you're going to give me my money back? He was like, yeah. Okay, so I hit up my friend who has been my best friend since the fourth grade. He's an attorney, sent everything over to him, got all the paperwork in, notarized everything, and I wired him $100,000 like 40 minutes later. That day, he gave me my first interest payment. That same day, I remember being in the market square with my friend Lorena, and my first interest payment came through. And it had been way more than any of the rents for my rental properties. That's when I was like, oh, lending is kind of dope. Like this, I did nothing. I did nothing. And I was like, I was going through the market square in Columbia, and I was like looking at my phone, like, I ain't never seen this before. And that's when I was like, oh, I think I like this. Sure enough, 3 months later, I'm laying in bed with my wife, Amanda. I get this large deposit into my account. My buddy hits me up. His name's Greg Sujimoto. A lot of you guys might know him. We went to high school together, Temple City High School, shout out. So Greg hits me up and he's like, all right, check your account, bro. Check my account. My money is back in there. And my wife looks at me. She says, how did we do? And I was like, we did well. And I said, what do you think about us selling off our real estate and just getting into the lending game? And we did. We sold off all of our real estate, but kept two of the properties and then started lending. You work, you buy, you build. Let me just say this again. You work, you buy, you build. Now, I could have think of all the things that I could have bought just for myself with that 100K. Think of all the things that I could have bought. I could have bought some watches, I could have bought some Jordans, I could have bought some weed, I could have bought relationships. I could have bought women. I could have bought I could have bought a whole bunch of stuff. I could have bought more clothes, obviously. I could have bought more shoes. I could have bought a car. Why not go out and get the next expensive car so I could show off to everybody, right? You name it. I could have bought it. I could put a down payment on a Bugatti. I could have done a whole bunch of stuff. And that stuff would have taken money out of my pockets. And instead of what I did was I took my active income, I put into something passive that has put money into my pocket. This is how you scale. It has nothing to do with the system. It has everything to do with your stupidity. Let me just say this again. It just has to do with your mindset and what you decide to do. And you guys hear me talking like this now, but I've been saying this privately to lots of entrepreneurs for the last 10 years. And guess what they decided not to do? We get really good at active, but we don't get really good at focusing on passive. And that's the big problem. The lack of passivity will breed more problems. So that's how you really go from what's up, Mickey, over there on Facebook. I see Sherilyn. Um, Instagram is going crazy. What's up, you guys? Okay, cool, cool, cool. So here's what I invite you to do. There's many ways that my company Think Life is Different will help people like you. Whether you are an entrepreneur, we will help you. Whether you are a layperson, we will help you. Whether you're a small business owner or an employee, we will help you. We will take where you are currently and we will bridge the gap to get you to where you want to be. We have a great team, and even myself will get in there and really support you. We will help you build $1 million portfolios. Shoot me a message. Let me know. We have 3 day challenges that are coming up as well. But you can always get in touch with myself and my team, and we'll get back to you. But that is how you do it. Okay. You got to know the difference between active and know the difference between passive. And you got to move this active income over to passive income. We'll talk to you guys soon. And until the next one, we'll see you soon.